All right, in this video, I'm going to be going over how we find a horizontal asymptote or a slant asymptote. So a horizontal asymptote is this horizontal line on the graph. It is written as y equals a number. You could have a horizontal asymptote or you could have a slant asymptote. And a slant asymptote looks like a linear function on the graph. It is a dotted linear line. You can only have one or the other, not both. And in order to determine which one you have to look at the degree of the polynomial. Before I get into the actual rules and the words in our notes, I want to show you a little cartoon to help you remember these rules. So we have our friend Bot, the robot, and Bobo the clown. And Bot and Bobo sure love candy, as I know most of you do as well. Now, this is a silly little cartoon, but it helps us to remember the rules for determining the horizontal or slant asymptote. And what Bot and Bobo sure love candy really stands for is, we're going to start with the first four, Botan. This stands for bigger on top, no horizontal asymptote. Bobo stands for bigger on bottom, 0, y equals 0. And sure love candy, that's just going to be shortened to SLC. This stands for same leading coefficients. So this is how we determine what type of a horizontal or slant asymptote we have. For the first one, bigger on top. That means that the degree, we're looking at the degree of the polynomials. The degree is bigger on top of the fraction, so in the numerator. For example, x squared over x has a bigger degree on top. In this case, we have no horizontal, so we have to find the slant asymptote. If it is bigger on bottom, that would be if I had x over x squared. Then my horizontal asymptote is at y equals 0. Or if they're the same, so if I have 2x squared over 3x squared, these are both x squareds. If they're the same, then I have to pull the leading coefficient. So we have a horizontal asymptote, y equals, at the leading coefficient of the numerator, 2, over the leading coefficient of the denominator, 3. And that's what we do for these problems. So if I go down to the notes, here we go. Again, it has this written, a horizontal asymptote is y equals a number, a slant is y equals mx plus b. You cannot have both. If it's bigger on top, you have a slant. You must use long division. If it's bigger on bottom, it's just at y equals 0. And if they're the same, we pull the leading coefficients. So this first one here, the degree of the numerator is 2, and the degree of the denominator is 2. These are the same, so we pull the leading coefficients. Those leading coefficients are 2 and 4, so my horizontal asymptote is at 2 over 4, or 1/2. Y equals 1/2 is where the horizontal asymptote is. For this next one, I have x to the first power over x squared. This one is bigger on bottom. When it's bigger on bottom, then my horizontal asymptote is just at y equals 0. In this example, I have x squared over x to the first. This one is bigger on top. That means that we have a slant asymptote, and in order to find the slant, we have to do a watered down version of long division. So I'm going to set up my long division, taking the denominator and placing that outside the house, and the numerator is going inside the house. That's what we are dividing. All right, how do I get x to become x squared? I would multiply it by x. So I'm going to write that up here. And then I'm going to multiply x times x is x squared. And x times -2 is -2x. Put it in parentheses so I remember to subtract. I'm going to distribute that subtraction. X squared minus x squared is 0. 4x plus 2x is 6x. All right, again, how do I get x to become 6x squared? I multiply by positive 6. And we're done. You don't have to go any further. Y equals x plus 6 is where my slant asymptote is. Let's look at one more that's bigger on top. So here, again, this is bigger on top, x squared over x to the first. And so we have a slant asymptote. X plus 4 goes outside the house, and x squared minus 3x plus 12 goes inside. What do I need to multiply x by to get x squared? That would just be an x. So I'm going to distribute x times x squared, or x times x is x squared, and then x times 4 is 4x. All right, and then put this in parentheses and subtract. Now I'm going to distribute x squared minus x squared is 0. Negative 3x minus 4x is negative 7x. Now, how do I get x to become negative 7x? Multiply by negative 7. And I can stop here. Y equals x minus 7 is my slant asymptote.